It's horrible. I hate it, but it's worth the fight. Just
Hi
to
guys.
let you know.
So
is
just had a little challenge with the
well,
computers.
Billy and I are
But here we are.
related, where I
So
get to
we'll see if
stick-
anyone joins.
So that's what I've got to do to stick to the storyline.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Yay.
Yay. So now who in the table is calling in from New York or for England? Who haven't?
Anyone else?
I know Irina, you're in New York. Anyone else from New York or England? Show of hands.
Far away.
Anybody? No.
Late night.
I guess you are.
Oh.
So okay, great. So why don't we do you? Go for it. Unmute your mic.
I'm in Washington D.C.
Okay, that qualifies. East Coast.
But thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited, and thank you so much, Hank, for setting this up for me. I'm still in the military. I've been in for 35 years.
I'll do the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, please.
And I was a Marine intel officer for 13 years, and then I've been a doctor for the past 25 or so. And I've written 6 novels that have been published.
Wow, that's great.
And I'm trying to, a mixture, primarily military spy thrillers, social thrillers, and then I've actually my most 2 recent have been more relationship stories, so all fiction. And I've been exploring ways to try to get my stories to a wider audience. Obviously Hollywood and wherever I can kind of get them to see. I don't have an agent. I self-published the first half of my books.
And let me jump in for 1 second. For those who are, if it's not your turn, please mute your mic so that we don't have a lot of crosstalk. I guess they'll and Mark, if you can mute your mic and when it's not your turn, that'd be great. If you can mute your mic, Mark, when it's not your turn, because otherwise we get cross noise. So, but please go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. Please go ahead with what you were saying, Mike. Yeah.
I have a publisher now. So my most recent 2 books are with a traditional publisher, but I still don't have an agent, and I'm just trying to see if different ways to kind of get my stories out there.
Sure.
If there's any interest in making into a film or
so now and are they all in the same genre?
For the most part, the thriller genre,
right?
Various, whether it's military special operations or espionage or political, social, and then some are women's stories, actually, relationship stories are my 2 most recent ones, not the thriller genre.
That's great. So now, and you said it's been picked up by a publisher. Which publisher is publishing your most recent books? So
Kohler Books did the previous one, and Foundations Books is doing the most current one. They're small publishing houses.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So here's several things. First of all, when the pandemic is over, you should go to Book Expo America, which is the trade show for the publishing industry. And just by walking those aisles, meeting people, it can hugely help you, because you might run into someone who's like a very major thriller novelist, and you can take them out for a drink, and you can just ask a whole bunch of questions. You don't ask them to help you, but you ask them how they've structured their career, and that can be enormously useful. But also even beyond that, most authors now have websites, and if there's a writer who has the success that you want, go to his website, email him. And writers, particularly novelists, are extremely fraternal. They're extremely willing to talk with each other and share what they do. And in terms of getting Hollywood to notice your work, look for producers who have a history of doing films, successful films, that if they like that one, they might like this one. You can, right now, everyone's at home going crazy. So if you just go on social media and look for who are the producers whose work you love, who are the directors whose work you love, reach out to them via social media, and in all likelihood, they'll answer, because they've got time on their hands, which is extremely unusual for anyone in Hollywood, but now is an extremely unusual time. So take advantage of it. That can be very, very helpful.
But even under usual times, the publishing industry has shifted a lot in the last 20 years, and it's moved away from where they know how to publish a book into corporate, and where a lot of novelists are publicizing themselves. They can't get the publisher to put in any kind of real money, or even they don't even know how to reach out.
Yeah.
And so that's where, if you really do look at the sites of your favorite novelists, you'll probably see some of the ways in which they're letting their books known. It's become much more entrepreneurial, unfortunately, because writers are not by nature salespeople.
Yeah.
But it definitely did change, where a number of friends who were like high roller authors, they ended up pulling their books from publishers because they had to do their own publicity anyway.
Yeah.
And they were getting a tiny fraction of their books as compared to what they get when they sell them online.
Yes, but also the real thing you have to do, and you have to remember. And by the way, anyone whose turn it isn't right now, please mute your mic, because we get a lot of crosstalk and it just is very distracting. Thanks. The thing to get specific about, and this is something you should write down, is what do you actually want to accomplish? How many copies do you want to sell? What audience do you want to reach? Specificity is what allows you to succeed, because I find for myself that there's a million things I don't need to do because it's not one of my goals. For instance, if I wanted to be a major best-selling novelist, I could set my cap for that, and I've had bestsellers, but it's not where what my goal is. And so as a result, I can talk to novelists and find out what they do that works for them, but I don't necessarily have to emulate it. And that gives me a great freedom, because it relaxes me, So
how are you with your gift of gab? I mean, if you were to be going onto a circuit of talking to people, either large audiences or on websites or with hosts, are you comfortable talking about your books? Do you know how to weave a good yarn?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
Not the verbal yarn.
Okay.
I can muddle my way, and I can and will get more comfortable with it.
Yeah, but again, it's the main thing is to not be in isolation. Once you talk to people who are successfully doing what you want to do, a lot of stuff becomes clear. It's not a mystery. It's only a mystery because you're not in direct communication with people who are succeeding at what you want to do. It's a trade like any other trade, and it's a changing world and a changing marketplace. But that we can turn that to our advantage. So, anything else, Mike? Any other questions?
No, that's been fabulous. Thank you so much for that. Kind of along the lines of what you were saying, I think at this stage in my life and in my career, the number of books I sell are probably less important to me, as opposed to just, I would like to try to get it on the screen. That's kind of probably more so what my goal is. I started writing to be therapeutic, actually,
Sure.
and just because I enjoy it, I love it.
Well, that's a good reason.
I do it now for fun. It's not a career per se.
Yeah.
Do you want to learn how to write scripts, or do you just want to sell the novel to film?
I think the latter, I believe, more.
Sure.
Okay. Well,
sure.
One thing that you might want to do is to look initially toward independent producers, directors, the kind of people who are creating films that you really like, that you think might speak to the themes that you address.
Yeah.
So it's less genre and more what is the lens through which these people see the world, and then approach those people head on and say you'd be willing to have this, if they're solid and they've had films made before, to say you're willing to accept a very low option as long as it's a good purchase price once the film is funded, and get that first one out there.
Yes.
But make sure they're successful filmmakers, because if
right.
they haven't ever made anything, then you're going to be floundering forever.
But also remember that there are a lot of TV shows being adapted from novels too. And so if there's someone doing a TV series that you like, you can reach out to them as well. So that's what I would.
And just reaching out on social media is completely fine.
Yes, yes, because again, the times are so unusual right now with everyone stuck at home, and all production halted for the most part. Now is the moment. So, it's. Also, I would urge. Oh,
go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Elaine. But
also, it's
And you're credible. You're published, so
yes.
they can look you up in reviews. You're not just some lunatic who's contacting them.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
not just because you're a vet.
Right. Good. But you can also look at producers who are veterans, and that can also be a way in too. So do a little homework on the people who you're reaching out to, because that can help a lot.
Because there are, like at the table, a vast number of our people are veterans, former veterans, and then they move into storytelling. There's so much to tell.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to find a lot of people. And the thing is that there's a base of Hollywood people who just want to be important, self-important. But there's also a lot of people, which is why we have the table. Why it's grown so much, it's artists want to deal with other artists.
Yes. So
and it's vast. It's a vast pool of people internationally. So you may find a much wider hearing than you realize.
Yeah. So great. Well, thanks, Mike. Yay.
Thank you so much.
So now I've got the Mr. Sci-Fi audience also on, so I alternate between the table and Mr. Sci-Fi. So if anyone has questions, Mr. Sci-Fi questions, please ask. And it's good to have you guys here. Sorry we got started a few minutes late. Circumstances beyond my control.
That would be me.
But yes, but an announcement for everybody is that Neil deGrasse Tyson just joined the cast of Space Command, so that's pretty cool. So he just sent in his footage today, and it's great fun. So you can aim.
If you want an exclusive, I can queue it up. Just let me know.
Okay.
Well, we'll get there down the road. So okay, good. So
I don't want to know. I'm from New York as well.
sure. Is
Sure.
that who is? I'm sorry, I heard the voice.
This is Mark.
Mark, go for it, Mark.
Sure,
Take your turn.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody in LA or LA table. I'm Mark Schlauer, and I've been in and out of the New York table for a number of years, and that's why I found out about this. I'm actually going to be going to LA for a few months in about 6 weeks. And so my background is I'm a multimedia artist. I originally was in the fashion industry as a photographer. I got involved in music production and as a musician, as well as live experiences. I got involved in theater for about 10 years. I created 2 theater companies that were based on interactive experiences and shamanic rituals and nightclub electronic dance music scenes as well. And that's led me to where I am today, which is been working on and off for a documentary for many years about a music legend. Might be on hold, but I recently, over the last couple of years, been developing a TV series that takes place mostly in the 90s in New York City of the underground culture. It's called The Edge, and it has a lot to do with the beginnings of the rave culture and the beginnings of a lot of the experiences that we have in New York, how did Brooklyn become so hip and things like that. But it really is, it's a love letter to the post, pre-millennium New York City before social media kicked in, and the wildness, the freedom of that. So I'm in the process of shopping that. I had some pretty high-end literary manager reach out to me and want to read the script. That's a couple weeks ago. And so right now I'm in a place of wanting to shop it around for other management as well as showrunners. So that would be a resource I could be needing. I also recently got invited to be a creative director for a game.
Cool.
That's based on environmental issues. So I can't get more detail on that, but it's potentially game-changing game, excuse the pun.
Great.
And so I know West Coast and especially LA has a lot of gaming situations, and I need to immerse myself in that. He wanted to hire me because of the nightclub experiences that I created. It's an old mentor of mine. And otherwise, I have other projects. I have a couple other scripts. I have music that I want to see get placed in producers' hands. So I think there's a lot of advantages of me coming out to LA for at least a period of time, maybe permanent.
Sure.
And I'm just basically, anyone have any resources or say hello or
yes. And again, the thing for everyone, I can't stress this enough, is that everyone should make a list of 50 to 100 people who are doing the work in film and television you most admire. The writers, the producers, the directors, the actors. It should be very, very, as long as you can make it. And sometimes it's just looking at your shelf of DVDs or your queue on Netflix. I mean, but then, again, you can reach out to them. Everyone's on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or, all of the above. And you'd be amazed at who you can reach. I mean, it's not a mystery. It's, and again, if you reach out to 100 people whose work you love and only 3 respond, you've got 3 great people who are in conversation with you. And and that can make a career. That alone can make a career. So so again, specificity, because the problem, and what really hangs a lot of people up is that they spread their net so wide that the people that they end up dealing with and affiliating with are people whose work they don't admire or even perhaps like. And as a result, there's going to be a very strong clash of aesthetics. And that's a very bad way to start. Whereas if you start by reaching out to people who's sort of on your same creative wavelength, there's a much greater chance that there'll be a harmonious collaboration in terms of working with them. And it's not guaranteed, but it really, really helps. And so that's something I would recommend.
And you're in a very good position now to reach out to other literary managers, because there's nothing that gets them quite as excited as that you say it's currently with so-and-so who's very interested in it. But I've heard about you, and I really wanted to see, I'd really like a conversation with you, because once something is wanted, everybody wants it.
Mm-hmm.
So now is the time, I think your instinct is correct, now is the time to reach out to other people while it's in the hands of somebody that's relatively well known.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's very well known, but I could drop that name. That's not considered unprofessional to do that.
The way you drop names, what is appropriate is you ask the person if it's okay to mention them. In other words, unless it's something like, for instance, if you worked with someone, then it's fine. I mean, like, for instance, the various people I've worked with, it's not a problem for me to mention them. But again, you just have to be careful to make sure with anyone, like, for instance, let's say you go to a coffee shop, and not now, of course, but you go to a coffee shop and there's, Martin Scorsese, and you sit down with him and you talk and you have a great time, and he says, good luck with your career. And you'd mention someone that you wanted to reach out to, and he said, yeah, I know that guy. It's appropriate to then say to Scorsese, may I mention that you and I have had this talk? Because again, you don't want to misuse someone's connection to you. And so one has to be very careful with that, because that's a definite no-no in terms of not asking if it's okay before you do it. And even in my career, people have used me as a name to mention to people that I've worked with, and it's really not that cool. Yeah. So, so there's that. So great. So anything else, Mark?
I guess I'd like to become a full member.
Sure.
How do I?
I guess maybe David Bartlett. We can coordinate. Yeah, coordinate with David, and he'll make it. He'll reach out to Howard and so forth. So yeah.
Okay, so I'll send him send him my email.
Yeah,
directly.
great. That sounds great. Okay, 3 cheers. So yeah. So now going back to Mr. Sci-Fi for a moment, there've been some questions. Mark Lungo asked, who is Neil deGrasse Tyson playing? He's playing an extremely eccentric character named Neil deGrasse Tyson. So he suggested a plot line to me for the prequel, and I utilized it. And so he's both credited with the idea, and also he's in the audio play and in the graphic novel. So it's very, very fun. And the other question that was asked is, what's my favorite Twilight Zone episode? There's an episode called Walking Distance that I love. On Thursday We Leave for Home, Eye of the Beholder, my gosh, Kick the Can. There's so many of them. So there's a book you might want to get, The Twilight Zone Companion, and that'll kind of give you some more information on my tastes.
Well, also, if you listen for clues as to how to get to people, you'll notice that almost everything that he said were the more sentimental episodes.
Yes. Which
draw me too. So if you want to get to him, you understand that something that's really sentimental.
Yes.
Touches the heartstrings is a good, always look for what people's themes are.
Yes. And well, and there's clues. Like, for instance, even if you looked at this of me on this video, I'm wearing a t-shirt that was actually used in the movie Prometheus. And so it's like, I'm a big fan of Alien and Aliens, and this is a screen used shirt. Behind me are photos of Gene Roddenberry and Kurt Vonnegut and Studs Terkel and and Anita Luce. So it kind of gives you an insight into sort of what I'm interested in and so forth. So, but never say that you're interested in something if you aren't. So in other words, don't pretend to be a fan of something. Don't fake it. Just be authentic, and that'll get you very, very far. But information can really give you a leg up. So let's see now, who else is chiming in from the East Coast or from? Oh, Irina, let's do you, Irina. Go ahead, please. Oh, there. Okay, great. Go for it.
Hello, Margolene.
Hello, New York. Well, you're across the
yeah, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah. Okay, great. Go for it.
Well, since last time, I've been designing a lot. Designed the logo, intro and outro openings, for the show, for the serial. And one more episode is completed. So now I'm kind of planning to do one more episode and then premiere 4 episodes at once. So I was kind of brainstorming with my cast and crew people, trying to figure out, and you have a lot of experience with that, with the promotional, like how do you cross promote when, let's say, you have an actor in one episode, and my series is anthology series, so I guess that's the challenge. So let's say I have one actor with the following on one episode and another actor with the following on another episode. How do I find a way to cross promote so that the followers, the audience, for one episode translates to another, basically?
Well, I mean, one thing you do is with all the actors you work with, if they have social media presence, you ask them to put it out on social media that they're in this thing. In other words, cross promote on their social platforms. Whether or not their followers will want to watch other episodes that they're not in is debatable, but at least gives you an opportunity for them to know about it. It's just, I just try and spread the word any way I can. But it's a challenge. It takes ingenuity, and but to definitely make sure that they're that they're posting and putting out the word and banging the drum.
Yeah, because the challenge is also different platforms, because I talk to different people and some have more following, let's say, on Instagram.
Yes.
And somebody else has more following on Facebook. And then, of course, YouTube is a must.
Yes.
So that's the challenge also, how to connect all those different platforms, connect the dots, yeah.
Well, there's a very interesting thing you can do. Write down in a question form what you want to know and type it into Google. You'll be surprised. A lot of stuff will come up. You can now ask the most esoteric questions and get the answer very quickly. Because again, for instance, I wanted to, we'd gotten a certain number of views on the Space Command the first hour episode, but it was far smaller than I wanted, of only a few thousand. So I thought, well, how can I title it in a way that's going to get noticed? And I just said the greatest Star Trek show you're not watching, because it's so many Star Trek alums, and it just topped 350,000 views in a week, and so that's great, and it'll just keep going because it'll just snowball. So sometimes it's thinking about what's going to cue into people's enthusiasms in such a way that they'll check it out. But you try not to be dishonest. You just want to be inventive. Yes, as Elaine said, inventive. So yeah. So
from your opinion, your experience, which platforms are a must? Like which platforms that you definitely, and because my series is very short.
Yeah.
I think the only one that I cannot do is TikTok, because TikTok is still limits to 1 minute.
Yes.
But other platforms now opened up. My episodes are somewhere like maybe 3 minutes long.
Yes.
The one episode I just finished ended up being the longest one. It's like 5 minutes long. But it's still within a limit for most platforms.
Yes.
So what would be your recommendation?
Well, it's a constantly changing thing. I mean, I would advise against MySpace. It's unless you invent a time machine. But yeah, definitely Instagram, definitely Facebook, definitely YouTube. TikTok is, I mean, a lot of this stuff skews by age group. So like the younger people are using TikTok, and again, you just find everything. You find the way to have it all sort of guide to where you want them to go. And, so for instance, my key portal is Mr. Sci-Fi. And so that's where I'm putting most of my content, but I do have Facebook and Twitter and all of that. I'll eventually build up an Instagram following. Some of my team have a Space Command Instagram thing going, but I'm not actively utilizing that yet. And it's just a matter of, there's only so many hours in the day.
Have you pitched to what's called Quibi?
Not yet, no. And Quibi is so peculiar. I mean, I have to check it out and see what the hell it is. It's just,
What do you know about Quibi?
I meant Irina, actually.
Oh, Irina. Well, yeah, you can.
No, I haven't. Are they even open to independent filmmakers? Because
Sure.
From what I read about them, they're very focused on stars, like big projects. I mean, the short format, but they have big names behind them.
Right. Everybody needs content, but it's worth researching. You may be right, but it's worth researching.
Yeah, because I tried even finding a way contacting them and couldn't find any information. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, put it out to the table.
just put out an email at the table, but also
Unfortunately, I'm still not on the list.
oh
still
well David Bartlett can help you with that. David is the everything slides to him. So anything else, Arena? Anything else you need?
Well, that's pretty much it. I'm kind of preparing everything in May because I want to set up the promotional campaign by the end of the month and put everything out. And since this is the first time I'm doing something like that, it's a little bit like your mind is just a little bit all over the place here.
Okay, well, cheers. Yay. So,
do we have anybody else?
Oh, wait, we were going to do Mr. Sci-Fi for a second.
Sorry, yeah.
So just to answer the Mr. Sci-Fi questions that have been coming through, I love the 1963 Outer Limits. It's a terrific show. Harlan Ellison's episodes are great on that show. The three shows that made me want to be a writer were Star Trek, Twilight Zone, and Outer Limits, the original versions of those. And in terms of Space Command, in terms of releasing, we're going to be releasing Ripple Effect, which is the episode we've been shooting through the pandemic in the next few weeks. We're working on finishing hour 2. We've shot hour 3, and we're prepping hour 4 of the 12-hour season. So there will be a lot more. And the prequel's already recorded, the audio play, and we're drawing the graphic novel. So and we're adding new stars on a weekly basis. I mean, Christina Moses from A Million Little Things, and Armin Shimmerman from Deep Space Nine and Buffy, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, of course. So tons of stuff is happening. And in terms of, and we're under consideration by Amazon, and we're, and we're gonna just keep going in terms of recasting or reshooting. Again, that hasn't been raised as an issue. So we'll see. We'll deal with stuff as it happens. So that's about it for now. So okay. So anyone else from you? Oh yeah, Lisa, do you want to take your turn? Go for it.
Let's see. You can hear me?
Yeah.
How are you guys? I sent you some pictures of the water for your.
Oh, thanks. Yes, we used it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So let's see. I have been busy. I have 2 lives. So I'm a therapist and music therapist, healer. So I've been very busy helping people. And so I wanted to advertise that I'm doing basically I'm calling creative collaboratory meditation, yoga, counseling for the creatives in the entertainment business. And so it's called No Matter What. And that's on Sundays at 5 o'clock on the East Coast, 2 o'clock out there. So you can find that on lovelifeproductions.net. I have a new album that I'm going to release with a whole bunch of music that I've been working on for a long time. A lot of my music is social justice related and environmental. So that's my focus. And trying to, as somebody that does a lot of things, like you say, trying to funnel things. So See Me As I Am as a podcast where I do pod babies, which I am able to showcase my music, and it's for environmentalist healers and artists. So I interview people, amazing people, and also share my music and insights on the pod baby piece. So I'm trying to make that sort of like my vehicle to share myself and have the ability to really get a lot of things out there. So the music is shared often on there. And I'm looking for, I have a musical that I do at the Cherry Lane Theater in New York called Mother Me Therapy many years ago. And the music is on my compilation called Clover Songs, but I want to release it actually for Mother's Day. I think I've never distributed it as just the musical itself, and I want to redo it. I need to find somebody that's willing, a director that's willing to just basically turn it into sort of like a one-woman performance art piece for me. So LA or New York, I'm open. I'm in LA a lot, so
sure.
I need help with that. Don't really know.
Well, putting an email off the table, you can get people who will be of help. I mean, again, I think you start when people realize something is moving, that it already has a momentum, then it's easier to get people to jump on board. So, but I would just start, I mean, sending an email out to the LA table would make sense. And, and then just, you know, be very specific about what what you're offering and what you want and what you need and what, you know, what they get out of it. So it's, yeah, that's.
If you have any testimonials,
Mhm.
because there are a lot of people, you know, who do these kinds of things, but many of them are not as effective as they might be. So if you have some testimonials of the way in which it's touched people or moved people, that I think would really help people connect and understand what you're about.
Yeah, but yeah, and again, you know, people just want to make sure that something's going to get finished, that's going to get out there. You know, it's just, yeah, but that's why I'm always in action. I always try to make sure that I'm the one, you know, pulling the sled basically, and then people jump on the sled, and somehow this metaphor is falling to pieces, but it's there. So okay, so
And
continuing.
how do you get, you know, integrate? So I'm known for my work as a therapist, an artist, that way, and in the music therapy and sound healing field, but my music isn't as known, for example. So I'm trying to find somebody that can, an agent or someone that can help me, you know, represent myself for the many things that I am. But it's hard.
It's a little tricky because, again, remember that for agents, managers, they want to see money. And if you can demonstrate a 6-figure or 7-figure cash flow, then that's an incentive for them. If you can't, it's like, well, why are they helping you? You know, this illusion that agents and managers are artistes and want to really foster artistic talent is you know, it's rare, really, really rare. So it's more like thinking, who's going to dig this? Who's going to pay attention to it? What group does this appeal to? You know, it's just kind of like being very, you know, they used to say let your fingers do the walking when they were talking about, you know, the phone directory, but now the internet can be your fingers doing the walking. You can just start to say, okay, given this and this and this, and where I always start is, who's doing work that's akin to what I'm doing, and if it's akin to what I'm doing, then I reach out to them and I say, hey, you know, this might be of interest to you, and if it is, then off we go.
What home do you see for your music?
It's environment. It's a lot of it's environmental music. So I've done a film score about the Arctic, and then it's also social justice. So I have a song called "Speak Up, Don't Let the Bastards Get You Down." So depending on what it is, but definitely social justice and environmental healing. I use sounds of animals in the wild, and all kinds of things relating to the environment mostly.
Well, there is the, you know, Film Independent. It's on both coasts. You know, two different. Well, they split apart. But the thing is that they have a lot of documentaries. So if you reach out to documentary filmmakers and start with that, remember, most of these people are really struggling, and if you're willing to cut them a break with your music, then they'll probably grab you up. You know, people who are doing the documentaries. But there are several independent film organizations. You know, we've got IFP West. Is IFP East still going?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is.
IP West?
Oh,
IFP.
IFP Independent.
Film Independent. Film Independent.
Film Independent, but it's independent filmmaker. You know, IFP.
Well, it used to be. I think
Used
it's
to be.
film.
No,
I think it's Film Independent now.
Yes.
But you can look them up. So.
But they're East and West Coast.
Yeah.
And they have a special area for the documentary filmmakers. But once your music gets known, then it can start to spread within the industry. So rather through reps, it's much better to get it known through your fellow artists and then get a rep.
Yeah. So anything else?
That's it.
Let me chime in regarding the beach video that you sent. I'm working on that scene now. I'm not just staring off into space up here. There's a screen up here.
Yeah.
Editing Space Command. But I haven't seen anything from Lisa. The video in there is from someone named Maureen.
Well, that's.
You got that email? Send it. Forward it to me.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good video.
I sent my music video with waves and then a whole beach scene.
Oh.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Because the video that's in here now is okay, but if there's a better one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
okay.
cute. Like I'm right on tonight with the full moon. It's nice.
Oh yeah. Well, absolutely. That'd be great to get. So just email me, markzickery@gmail.com.
I did send it to you. I'll send it to you again.
That'd be great. Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate it. Yay! So now, let's see if there's anything from Mr. Sci-Fi. Let's see. Someone says keep producing, and we need your work and excitement. Thank you, Rick. let's see. I don't know if there blah blah blah.
Where's Edison?
Adam is otherwise engaged.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'll continue with the table, and if you guys, if Mr. Sci-Fi, have questions, just type them in, and I'll try and answer them. Okay, so let's see. Anyone else from the East Coast or England or anywhere who hasn't had a turn? Hands? I don't see anybody. Okay, so then let's, Larry Altmeyer, you want to take your turn?
Hello, Larry Altmeyer here. Today, actually, I got an exercise in self-tapes where for the first time I used my smartphone microphone at a Zoom session for a remote reader. And unfortunately, when I was trying to put my tripod back, I couldn't collapse it for a long time. Finally, I got it working. But tonight, when the table meeting is over, I will be looking at the footage from my self-tape. It's what I've done previously for like Bluestein and Kennedy had a recent open call with NCIS scenes from previous years, and I submitted for that. This was just an exercise to do it with the remote reader and smartphone and microphone. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing I'm concerned about just in terms of, let's see, I'm one of the few people in the country who never applied for, to get to the TSA line quickly at airports.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I applied for global entry. Conditional acceptance, my in-person interview downtown is scheduled for just before July 4th, early July.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep on getting emails saying if you're flying back into the country, you can have your in-person interview at the airport as you arrive internationally. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not flying internationally.
Yes.
So I'm hoping within the next month or two to get an email from TSA saying, we're going to postpone this for another, until whatever,
Yes.
or what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Probably not the only person that this has happened to, but I hope for one day to get that. Anyway, if other people are doing self-tapes, basically with remote readers, as we sometimes have to do now, feel free to get back to me because I would love to compare notes there. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yay. Okay, let's see. Let's see. What is your take on a possible Star Trek film directed by Tarantino? I'd go see it. Sure, absolutely. Which sci-fi movie or shows inspired you the most? I said Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, Star Trek. If you go through Mr. Sci-Fi, through the videos I post, it's very clear what my enthusiasms are. 2001, Alien, tons of stuff. But we can get more into that later. So let's see. Susan, yeah, Susan, go for it. Susan Flakes.
Yeah, hi. My chair is so low. I met this producer I'm working with on my screenplay about Harriet Jacobs, slave and activist. I now have a character, Frederick Douglass, is also in the movie, and it's very exciting scenes.
Great.
About two of the best writers, slave narrative people of all times. But this producer I met on Twitter, and I thought he would be able to take care of a lot of the casting and funding, only he's not much better. I think he's better than I am, but he's holding back. I hope he'll come forward soon, because he has a lot of other projects. But what we do need is a senior producer, and I prefer an African-American senior producer who will guide us in the casting and funding.
Sure. Sure. And do you have someone who'd be your favorite?
Well, I would love Casey Lemons, only she's otherwise engaged at the moment. Well, I would love Ava DuVernay. She's very engaged. I mean, the ones my ideal are really busy.
Yeah, but that's again where you want to really make a comprehensive list and start reaching out to people now, because again, it's such an unusual time. People are home. I mean, they're not able to be on the set. They're not able to be shooting. Some people are in post-production and they're editing and so forth, like Guillermo, but nobody's. I mean, it's such an unusual time, and the opportunity of reaching people. I mean, the way that we threw together this the new Space Command episode, Ripple Effect, in a matter of a couple of weeks, because all of our actors are available and they're shooting their own scenes wherever they live. And so That's true of producers too. That's true of directors. That's true of everybody. So really spending your time reaching out to these people now is a great moment of opportunity. And
I do have a list, and I was shying away from it because I thought this producer I'm working with would be able to help more. And now that I see he's depending a lot on me,
yes,
I better go to my list.
Yes, exactly.
I am in touch with Felicia Rashad, a great actor, director, wonderful lady.
Great.
And I'm trying to work it out with her, but she's really busy. Right, a lot of her projects went on hold.
Yeah. Yes.
So she's totally occupied. I think she told me she wouldn't be available for years.
Yeah. Well, and again, you have to make sure that the person that you affiliate with has the power to make stuff happen. And, you know, so there's that
because
too.
they can't just have a long list. You want them to be able to point to movies that were in the theaters that they actually got completed. Because there are many producers who have business cards, but no movies to their name.
Yeah.
But on my list is someone like Danny Glover.
Sure.
Who produced and direct, he's producing and directing. He's an old actor now.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But he's really gets behind projects. So he's the kind I'm trying to connect with.
Great. Well, great. So, yeah. So anything else, Susan?
No, that's about it. If anybody thinks of somebody I should go to, let me know.
Okay. Yay. Great. Were you going to add something?
I just asked if you've had your script vetted.
Vetted. She means read and critiqued.
Yes.
She has. Okay, great. Terrific, right. Susan. So another question from Mr. Sci-Fi, Odie Dillon. Hi, Odie. Was saying when will we bring Magic Time to the screen? Well, actually, Amazon is actively considering Space Command and Magic Time, and their entire team is now looking at them. So that's really exciting. And of course, Christina Moses is very eager to be in Space Command and Magic Time. I'm sorry, she stars in a million little things, and we're good friends. And I wrote a role for Armin Shimmerman for Magic Time as well. So I'm very eager to do it. And Elaine and I will both jump in and make stuff happen as we do. So let's see who's next. Judith Smiley.
No,
I see.
We did her.
Did we Judith? Oh, we did Judith. Okay, fine.
So now we're
so David Bartlett. Yeah, David, go for it. Yes, David. Is he unmuting?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, good. Oh, we can't hear you though. We're not hearing you for some reason. You're talking, but we can't hear you. We can't hear you. We're not hearing you. Up. God knows what he's saying. It's you.
Can you write a sign and hold it up?
You're not the next Marcel Marceau. It's clear, but I could never understand him either. So okay, well we'll continue on, and you can communicate via the written word. So let's see. We did Connie. I guess. Oh, there we go. What does that say? We can't read it. Come back. We will. We will. Okay.
We'll come back. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So David Goldenholtz, you want to take your turn?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm from Florida, and I am a field mixer, and I also do voiceover. But right now, what I'm looking for is there's a lot of what are they called? Film festivals happening right now, and I would like to find some actors, some producers, possibly editors, because I want to make a short film, one of those that are 10 minutes or shorter, because that's what a lot of the film festivals are looking for right now.
Great.
So if somebody's interested, or if somebody needs somebody that does voiceover, then yeah.
Okay. So what in terms of the short film, what part do you want to? What would be your role in creating this short film?
Well, the last one I did was I was a writer for it.
Oh, cool.
And I also did acting, even though that's not my strong suit.
Yeah.
And for this one coming up, I think that what I want to do is probably writing again, and also a little bit of sound editing, because I am definitely good at sound.
Oh, good. So is this something that you intend to film after the pandemic is over, or is it something you'd want to do during this period? Or
well, the film festivals, they're catering to people that are in this pandemic,
Oh,
so
cool.
it's a lot of them are at home type of film
yeah,
festivals.
yeah. So again, if there's someone whom you admire, you could. I mean, think about the people who go to conventions and sign photos of themselves, and those kind of actors. They all have websites, and they're all just sitting at home doing nothing. And so, even if you don't know them, it's worth reaching out to them, because if you say, "I want to do this short film, and here's the script, and I love your work, and it's going to be done during the pandemic, and here's how we'll do it safely," and they might just say yes, because why not? They're just sitting at home watching Netflix and trying to figure out what to do with themselves, so it's but beyond that, I find the challenge of making, well, we're making an entire episode, it's like over 70 minutes long. I like the challenge because it's not just people talking into a screen like we're doing here on Zoom, but you can do scenes with green screen and all sorts of tricks that can make things a lot more fluid and a lot more varied. And so one can actually accomplish a lot more than one might initially think.
It's interesting. During somebody made a 9/11 film way back when it just happened.
Yeah.
And there wasn't
a short
any.
film.
It was a short film, and
Yeah.
it there was no kind of restriction. But he made a short film, and he made it with his dog and
Yes.
himself.
Right.
And the whole thing was because he left for work.
Yes.
And
at the Twin Towers.
At the
right?
Twin Towers.
Yeah.
And it showed his little dog, moving
At home, in the apartment,
climbing out of its cage, going around, and every now and then, like as it was getting later, with phone calls coming in, with him not coming home to answer it, and so it became very, very tense if he would come home.
If he was going to survive, and the dog would be okay.
And the dog would be okay.
And at the end, he did, and it was fine. So
but it was a very tense.
It was like 10 minutes. It was really
10 minutes. It was very tense. It was very touching.
Yes.
So it was just people over the phone machine, his little dog, and himself leaving, and then finally returning.
Yes.
Filming his little dog.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. I mean, that was not a COVID situation, but that's what he had the money to do, and he did it very, very well.
Yes. So there you have it. So anything else, David?
Yes. Also, I'm doing a podcast. I think I said that last week as well.
Yeah, that's great. Great.
And I'm still looking for people as well. I've started the podcast, but I'm still looking. And basically, it's about what the industry was prior to COVID, and also what it was just in general, what it looks like now, including COVID, and what people will think it will look like in the future.
Yeah,
that's
great.
what the podcast is about.
Terrific. Yeah, so that's great. So and again, reach out to people, and remember that once you get one well-known person, that then legitimizes things where you can get more of them. I mean, that's how I've always traded up. I would find one, or I would have one person that I know, and then use that to kind of build from there. And it works very, very well. So
it's a great theme.
But yeah, sure, it is.
So you should be able to put the word out to the table. I think you should get people.
Yeah. So anything else?
No, that's
all.
But I think David Bartlett over there put the thumbs up that he's able to
You're ready?
talk.
Yeah. Okay, we'll find out. So David, let's go back to you, David Bartlett, and see if you okay, we can sort of hear you. What?
Does it work?
Yes, it works.
Okay.
We can hear you now.
Okay.
All right, so I'm David Bartlett. I am a, let me see, I'm not well rehearsed at this point, filmmaker, a teacher and a human rights activist, and a co-producer of Space Command.
Yay!
And a doggy co-star.
Doggy co-star. I'm also head of casting and head of production and producer of Ripple Effect, and I've got all kinds of stuff going on. And every day it gets bigger. So that's the way it is. I have a background as a filmmaker. I started making my first film when I was 10. I moved to LA in 1980 and started working right away on giant movies and independent movies and Roger Corman. And I was a set carpenter with Jim Cameron. My name was Jim. And his fiance was Gaylan Hurd at the time. And I knew her too. And I just kept working with independent films. I started working in studio films. I worked on films like Pulp Fiction and Speed and Total Recall and Tremors and some others. And then I started doing independent films of my own. And I now have 64 film festival awards. So
Great.
I've run the gamut from the tiniest of budgets to the most massive of budgets. On Total Recall, it was the biggest film ever made in Hollywood, which they kept quiet at the time, but in 1988 it was $88 million. So
Wow.
that was an interesting experience. Had a post came on the set one day and he said, in the studio one day, and he said, listen, we got to get this done. We're going to spend whatever money. I'm never going to tell you no. I just want to know at the beginning of the week what you think it's going to cost for that week. And that was the budget. So those were the days. So I've made a little movie called I Am the Flag, starring Jimmy Weldon, which has won a couple of awards and been around for a while. And right before the COVID started happening, I started seeing it pick up a little bit and start to grow. And within a few weeks, it was up to 140,000 views. And as of tonight, it is 426,000 views.
Yay.
Wow. Great.
I'm pretty excited about that.
That's great.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out a big push for people to sign on as subscribers. So I think if I get more than 2,000 subscribers, I can start getting some money for this and give it to Jimmy and the veteran effort and things. It's a completely non-political, non-military anything. It's just a story about patriotism and the flag itself and the concept of the U.S., which I really feel passionately about. I think it's pretty severely maligned at this point. So I hope that this will bring people back into the fold of, we really do want to do something about this and take care of this beautiful country we have that's in so much trouble right now.
Cool.
So that's my soapbox as far as that goes.
Great.
But I'm also interested in helping people with working on Space Command and also volunteering on Space Command, because during the COVID, we are now doing all sorts of fulfillment. We're doing more shooting, although it's in people's homes. We have a few things that can be done around the edges with that, and some things that can really be very, very helpful. So I've got some help from the UK, and that's going to be put into play this week. And also some I don't have any East Coast friends doing that yet, but I've got a number of New York people that live here now, and they're helping. Anyway, so if anyone's interested in that, you can email me. And what do I do about my email? Just my email is davefilms@hotmail.com, DAVEFILMS@hotmail.com. So if you're all interested in that, go ahead and reach out to me and we can go from there. There's one thing that we were talking about earlier I can comment on, which is the business of immigration and whatnot. Obviously, the COVID has put a big stop on that. And we also have our current president's not very fond of it either. So if we were to take those two things out of the loop somehow and return back to a simpler time, there are laws in place where you can come as a visitor, but you can't work. You can also come and work on a very temporary basis in a very narrow niche. And you can also, of course, move forward with green card and all that sort of thing. Lawyers are very important with this, especially now. And that lawyer that we're talking about, the reason that Damien and Michelle have used this lawyer and others, they have been very successful to a greater or lesser degree with this particular person who understands the plight of the actor and the producer who want to come here and work in the film business. So he's not free, but he does the job. So in the past, I've helped about a dozen people get O1 visas, and I have 3 green cards under my belt too. Now, again, things are very different now. I wouldn't get your hopes too far up yet, but that will change again.
It will. So
you can definitely do the legwork. You can definitely get going on that, because it does take time and it does take some money. So I would not wait. Don't wait for things to change.
Right.
You can put this in place so it'll come around, and by the time you're ready to go, they'll probably be ready to, kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, thank you, David. Yay.
Okay.
And there's another question here on Mr. Sci-Fi. Someone asked, Guignol Fest asked, what script have you written that has received the best feedback, reaction, ratings? Whew. Far Beyond the Stars, of course, gotten a lot of attention. The DS9 episode, the Star Trek episode I did with George Takei that we did together, and just tons of stuff. I mean, I've written for so many iconic shows. There's just a lot. And the Twilight Zone Companion sold over 500,000 copies and still going strong after over 30 years. So I've been very blessed to have a lot of great response to what I'm doing. And Space Command, of course, is doing spectacularly well. And yes, we do plan to have more on live stream interviews. We're going to have a Space Command one-day convention in probably about 3 or 4 weeks, where we'll premiere the new episode Ripple Effect. We'll screen the first hour episode, and then we'll have panels with our actors, with our creative team, all live stream throughout the day. So it's going to be an amazing event. David Bartlett can't wait to set it up, and he's just so thrilled to be part of this. So great. And speaking about being thrilled, why don't we do Dave Edison now? Hi, Dave. You're looking more and more like a rabbi, I guess. So there you go.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I'm okay so far. Known people who have had this disease. Know one person whose mom died of it in a nursing home. So it's starting to get closer to home. It's starting to feel even more personal. And I agree with David Bartlett and most of America that things have got to change because it's hard to go through this with a stable fucking genius at the helm. But so we'll survive this unless we don't.
Yes.
So I'm working on what's it called?
Space Command.
Ripple effect.
Space
Ripple
Command.
effect. Yeah, Ripple
Working
effect.
on Space Command, putting in particularly long weeks lately, trying to get this pandemic quarantine selfie episode done. I've got it on the screen here, and let me just take a look at something. Mark was saying it's over an hour. Let's see, what have we got? I deleted that file. Let's see, just out of curious, please stand by.
Yes.
We're about an hour and 12 minutes into it at this point.
That's great.
And we're almost an hour and 12 minutes in, and we've got several scenes that are still coming to us. So
That's
we
right.
might hit an hour and a half.
Yes, this could be the Space Command feature. It's pretty fun. And Mike
An hour and
Harney.
a half might be the least of the things we hit.
Yeah. And we're also going to be doing the scene all in Spanish that we've been talking about. So that's going to be very, very fun. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I always think of that phrase, but I think of Mark. Don't get him started.
Really, too late for that. You got me started like 50 years ago, and I'm still going. So but Dave,
honestly, having a madman in charge can lead to complications.
It can, but Dave has been.
This is going to be so simple. People will shoot their scenes at home, and we'll be done.
Well, but
I'm rotoscoping while we're doing this table meeting.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't know what rotoscoping is, good for you.
You look very convincing. So, but Dave has been doing a phenomenal job. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Don't forget too that there's also all the post-production sound work and the music on a feature-length episode.
That's
Just
great.
To throw that out there.
Yeah, it's super fun.
On sound that was shot on cell phones for the most part.
Cell phones.
At
Yes.
distance.
It's great.
It's great. I hope neither of you are complaining.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, heaven forbid I would complain.
Heaven
about it.
forbid. You got to be in a scene with our dogs. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. I think that's
and vice versa.
Yeah, I think
I've worked on a lot of films, but I've never had to put cheese inside my ears.
well, yeah, and so that's again.
That.
Well, yeah, so it combined acting and craft services. So, but the fun part is I think that
Craft with a K.
Yeah, but I personally think that scene is going to be the one that everyone's going to talk about. I think that's going to be everyone's favorite scene.
I didn't warn you before, but I usually steal the show when I do these cameos.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the shortest scene and yet a memorable one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some pretty impressive stuff in this hour and whatever it ends up being. I don't know if it'll hold together. There's not a lot of action.
No.
Or spaceships, or there's no
some.
laser guns going off. But
Yes.
if people want to see these actors and they want to hear more about their backstory, it may be incredibly engaging. And if not, it's at least an interesting experiment for an interesting time.
Yeah, you try stuff. The fun part is that if you're not afraid of trying, if you're not afraid of risking failure, it's very liberating, because then you can actually take a crack at things, and it fills you with a creative joy. Because I mean, you can see Dave is just oozing joy. You can just see the just joy is his middle name.
I'll light that up.
Yeah, really. Well, maybe it's cheese. No, that would be David Bartlett. So, and we also put butter on his face. So that was another thing, because we were trying to get the dogs to lick him, and we succeeded. And
if you look close, you can actually see it in one shot. But
yes,
these dogs were not the most cooperative. That was the take to use.
yeah.
And I ain't rotoscoping butter off.
No, it was great.
You don't have to look that close. It's
No,
pretty apparent.
no, it's a great
It
episode.
looks like a reflection from the lights.
Yeah.
It's our only action piece.
Yes. So anything? Oh, anything else, Dave? Nope.
Oh, I don't think so. I hope all of you are well and you and yours are well. So stay safe, and we'll do this again in a week.
Great. Yay. 3 cheers. Now there's this. Let's see if there's any questions from the Space Command. Let's see. Thanks for all the kind words. Will there be any Space Command spin-offs? Yeah, sure. There will, of course. And I mean, again, we're just doing it. I mean, I think it's just so fun. Every day we get footage in from our actors, Armin Shimmerman and Mira Furlan and Bill Mumy, and people all over the country and all over the, we have people in Canada shooting stuff. We have people in England shooting stuff. It's just really, really, really fun. So, and today we got the footage from Neil deGrasse Tyson. So it keeps going. So let's see. I guess Michelle Hart, go for it.
That was pretty cool when Neil showed up in the inbox.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the cool thing was we only needed audio from him, but he actually shot video as well. So that's super cool. Super cool. Go ahead, Michelle, please.
Oh, well, first of all, I came in a few minutes after everybody started, and I heard people talking about Michelle, but I'm assuming that it wasn't this Michelle.
No, the other Michelle, Michelle DaCosta, the British Michelle.
Ah, okay, fine.
Right.
Good, so I know.
Yeah, we were talking about.
We
were talking about attorneys. Yeah.
All kinds of things. For Mark, who's wondering how Brooklyn became hip, trust me, out here we're wondering how Culver City became hip.
It's true.
Shout out to Karen McKenna, who I have been seeing online, and now she's got a face to go with who she is. Hi, Karen.
Great.
We've been connected for a while through Facebook or something, and so that was kind of interesting. Let's see. Everybody else, or not everybody else, but many of you have been saying who you are, and I have not. I've been on this for a few weeks here on Zoom, but who I am is I'm an actor. I am a dancer, mostly ballet, but also jazz. Still going to class forever, and of course now there's no classes, so my class is the kitchen, or the backyard, where I use the pole from the clothesline as a bar. And because it's all cement back there, we're sure not jumping or turning, but keep it in shape as I can. Let's see. I am so conditioned to the fact that I need to have a mask that I almost put one on to do the Zoom. In terms of stay on the bright side, I'm sure saving a lot on lipstick. Let's see. I have been looking for a place to shoot in my apartment. I got the little gadget that holds the cell phone on top of the tripod that arrived yesterday, and I am looking for some place in my apartment that does not have windows, bookshelves, or paintings on the wall. And that's a real challenge, and I may wind up doing something like pinning a sheet to the wall. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see. Rotoscope. Yeah, I am the rotoscope for Jana of the Jungle. For those of you who ever watched that, Jana was a takeoff on Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, who we used to call Sheena Queeno when I was a kid. I'm Jana. I was a recurring character on General Hospital, playing a spy. Please don't ask me why they had spies in General Hospital. It surpasses all understanding. I'm trying to put together, with Dave Edison's wonderful help, I'm trying to get my video reel re-edited. There is a comedy reel that is all one long piece that was done through the wonderful abilities of the table. And then there's my regular demo reel, which is bits and pieces of drama and comedy interspersed. And I understand now that people don't like that. They would like to have a straight reel and a comedy reel. So David is separating that for me in his spare time.
Mark will let you know when I'm available.
Yes, indeed.
That I want to get this stuff out so that I can start working and stop looking for a straight job, which is another situation. The sooner the better. And because this is stuff that David has already worked with editing for me, it should not be that big of a deal.
Yeah, don't let me forget. Be a squeaky wheel. Everyone else, there's no reason you shouldn't be.
Yes, true.
Can you see me? This is Pokey.
That's funny. That's good. That's funny. Funny.
I have got to get a hold of Raven, who I don't know why she isn't showing up on these things, but I've got to get a hold of her because she seems to be starting something new and wonderful.
She said she'll stop by one of these weeks. She thought she might be here this week, but she's been busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been doing something that turns out to have been stupid. I try not to do stupid things very often. I was looking for some paying work, just like a job. And I started looking at employment through employment agencies. This is probably the stupidest thing I've ever been embarked in my entire life. It is, choose your metaphor. It's either hacking your way through the jungle or going down rabbit holes. Led to absolutely nothing except that I wasted about 2 weeks trying to chase things that apparently don't exist. And I'm doing that. What I'm chasing now is getting the reels done, getting comfortable with how I'm going to do self-tape, because everybody seems to think that's what it is, and it's definitely what it is right now. And working on changing the thrust of the presentation I do called Moving Through Life, so that it will not only be done for groups of people, because we don't have groups of people anymore. So I'm resetting things so that can be done as a private lesson, which means
tell the new people what Moving Through Life is.
Moving Through Life is based on the fact that I taught ballet for 20 some odd years, some very odd years. And I found a lot of the things that I was saying to people in regard to how they should deal with things in terms of dance turned out to be how they should deal with things in terms of just how they move and sit and stand. And it is not an exercise class, but it's making people aware of what their normal way is of moving. One really small thing that I can say on this kind of a screen is that the average person who sits at their computer knows that periodically they should move their head, and they should, quote, roll their head. They hear about rolling your head, so they go kind of like this, and they go, oh, I'm feeling a little dizzy. This isn't very good. And I tell them that the way to, yes, I see you think, that the way to do this correctly that will give you some kind of relief and be good for you is that your chin has to go on your chest. From there, you listen to your shoulder. You don't bring your shoulder to your ear, you bring your ear toward your shoulder. You take your head as far back as it would get, as if you were a baby bird, and clear to the other ear to the shoulder and down. And that you have to go through that, and that is the correct way to do that roll extremely slowly, and that's different from turning your head from side to side, and that those are all involved in that. So I do that. I literally start at your head and work at your feet to how your shoes are worn out or not worn out, if they're wearing out, and every part of you in between them. And all of that stuff is stuff that is good for every single person who's looking at this right now, and it's simple and takes no talent. It's thinking, which means it's probably hopeless because I'm asking people to think, but what the hell? So that's almost it. The other thing is I am rereading a book that I read many years ago and thought it was a wonderful book. And because I read it so many years ago, I thought I will go back to this because I really liked it. I'm going to go back to this and see if my opinion of this book has changed because I am now more mature, and maybe it was just a piece of garbage, but I saved it when I sold my whole collection of science fiction to Hawk, who is not online here, but is one of our people. He bought my whole stack of all my old science fiction books, and I saved a copy of The Demolished Man by Alfred Bester.
Wow.
This, I'm getting an aha from Mark.
Yeah.
And I started to reread it, and the book is so old that it is disintegrating. I got about 50 pages into it, and the pages are literally falling apart. And I am still so impressed with this book, which was the first winner of the Hugo Award. Still so happily impressed with this book that I'm buying a hardback copy of it.
That's good. Wow, that's great. Well, terrific.
For those of you who are not even science fiction fans, it's a thinking person's piece of science fiction.
That's great.
I'm done. He's got questions.
Okay, yay. So now, Mr. Sci-Fi question was, what's the next space show I'm going to be working on? Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby, who created The Expanse for television and are showrunners on that show, it looks like we'll be collaborating on Fugitive Space, which is a series that I came up with involving the military-industrial prison complex in the future and an alien race that we encounter. And so it's a very, very fun project. So, okay, so going back to Kenny, I guess it's your turn, Kenny, if you want to unmute. Hi. Okay, there you go. Yeah, we can.
Hey, first time I've seen you guys or been to a table event, I think, in a couple of years. So
Cool.
I really appreciate the magic of Zoom that eliminates geography and makes it possible to like jump all over the world without leaving your seat.
Yes.
Also, congratulations on Space Command. So you've been working on it for a while. So
thanks.
Congratulations on that. Mostly I'm just here to say hello, see what's going on. I have a couple of projects I'm focused on this year. One is my first TV pilot based on a web series pilot that I did about nuclear war, which is so popular these days.
Cool.
And then I'm also kind of in the same position as Susan. I love the advice you gave her, trying to find a producer for a feature film project. I think I listed table email about it last month and still kind of looking. So I guess I'll have to put together a list of producers and try to reach them now that they're all home and hopefully more willing to talk to me than before. But do you have any other advice as
sure.
how to reach a producer? Or
There's several things. One is assume that it's entirely up to you to make stuff happen, period. That whether something will come into existence or not is entirely your responsibility. That's the starting point. So it's like, if you think to yourself, okay, how can I bring this into the world? How can I make this actually happen? Like, for instance, with Space Command, one of the reasons I decided to do an entire episode during the pandemic, during the lockdown, was because I sort of wanted to demonstrate that you don't have to take years to do stuff. You don't have to go around the moon. All you have to do is be inventive, and you can create something that millions of people can enjoy.
And what is the other reason?
What is the other reason that I'm doing it?
You said one of the reasons is,
yes.
And then you said that one. What are the other reasons?
I really like watching my team grow pale when I tell them what I'm intending to do. There's something very, very fun about that.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. Very easy to do. But the other thing is, so like with these producers, you think, okay, what's outside the box? What's different? What could get someone's interest? What could get someone's attention? It's like a marketing campaign where you're trying to introduce a new kind of toothpaste or something.
Well, one of the challenging things, I mean, I have not met them, but there's some producers who just take it and run with it. But by and large, a train that isn't moving is really hard to get moving. It's a very weighty object. And there's so many screenplays that even the brilliant ones, if you don't come in with some kind of attachments or some kind of PR push or some kind of selling tool, to start from a cold engine is like really hard. That's why we've been forced to be inventive. And, we've had friends who are close friends of producers. And the producers would not take up something without an attachment of some sort, whether it was that it had won awards or that it had actors attached or a director attached. It was just too hard. And these were like people who had dinner together. But the thing is that what we were forced to do would be to be writers/producers, not the producer. That's super hard. It involves a lot of finance. But certainly the producer, in terms of really feeling that you want to get through the conduit and share your story with people like you. So it's like you cease to be intimidated by the conduit, and you just start getting analytical about how to start moving. Once your train starts moving, a whole bunch of people want to jump on because they want to work, but they don't know how to get something moving, and so they don't jump on. But it's not like they're being opportunists. It's just that once it's moving, they get excited. So anything you can do to make it feel like it's got some weight, like it's starting to move forward, like it's got more than just you involved. You've got a really hot scene designer. You've got one actor who's a B actor, but an excellent actor who attracts other actors. Anything you can, art, whatever, a sizzle reel, anything that can create excitement, then the producer no longer feels there's this rock, a beautiful rock, but a rock they have to pull up the hill all by themselves.
Yeah, all right, thank you. No, that's good advice.
Okay, cool, yay. Now, there's a question from Mark Lungo here. Are there any genres you haven't written for that you'd like to get into? No, not really. I mean, I've written Westerns, I've written fantasy, science fiction, animation, audio plays, radio drama, radio comedy. Mysteries are interesting, but it's not something that really drives me. And so, no, I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I mean, I'm right where I want to be. So, no, I've never particularly wanted to do a musical. I've played with the idea of writing a play, but that's really not my form.
Gloomy documentaries?
Gloomy documentary, no. And but that, yeah. So I'm all is well. I'm doing what I want to do. So thanks for that, Mark. So now we get to Karen McKenna. Do you want to take your turn, Karen? Just need to unmute. There you go.
I got it. Okay.
There you go.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
I'm so happy to meet you. This is my first time on the table. I was invited by Bob Rich.
Great.
But I've been listening to you guys on Mr. Sci-Fi for a couple of weeks now.
Oh, cool.
And I'm already in love with both of you completely. Thank you so much for all the great tips that you've given, and just for just being such great role models for doing what you love,
Thank you.
because it's so easy to be distracted. I mean, I've been in and out of the industry for the past 20 years, and it's just easy to hear a tale and go down a path, with
Yes.
people who really are not who you want to be with.
Yeah.
And I just love the way you guys are, and I love your home with all of your beautiful sci-fi stuff around you, and
Thank
how
you.
this is something that you began doing as a child, in your
Yes.
case, Mark.
Yes.
And and now and it's your life.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So I can't wait to meet you guys in person. I'm coming to you from my home office here in Sherman Oaks, California.
Oh, cool.
Beautiful downtown Sherman Oaks.
Great.
And Elaine, I want to say to you that I have heard from you some of the best acting tips I've ever heard from any acting coach in my life. So I would love to hear more, but I think you're great. I'm not an actress. I own a small production company, McKenna Wolf Media. We mostly do really real small stuff. We do behind the scenes work. We've done some trailers. We've done a couple of commercials. We're working on some documentaries. We produced a movie. Well, we helped produce a movie about Alzheimer's a couple years ago. And I mean, we just do some small stuff. And one of the things that we've been doing during this time, I'm watching you guys on TV also, is we've taken your advice, Mark, to, take some advantage of this. So we've been just sending out camera crews to just film empty LA.
Wow, that's
so
great.
we have a lot of footage of empty Hollywood.
Wow.
Empty beaches.
That's great.
Empty the valley. So so I'm sort of putting that out there. I mean, we're not doing much with it. If anyone needs footage
That's
of
great.
LA completely empty,
Wow, that's great.
we have a couple hours of footage, which
Wow.
we would be willing to let people use.
That's very clever. That's very clever. So
thank you, and a good part of that idea came from listening to you guys talk about how there had to be an opportunity here.
Yes.
And I kind of went to my crew and went, look, there's got to be an opportunity here.
Yes.
Somebody's going to want to see this at some point, right?
Yes.
At some point in the future, even people will want to go, oh wow,
yes.
look at that, the 405 completely empty.
Wow. Yes. Yes.
It's great for all of these after the war, pandemic movies. Yes.
Right,
It's true.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, maybe later we'll put together some sort of a documentary. We're actually talking to some people in Northern California who are cattle ranchers, and we're doing some. We're going to go up and shoot some film up there. We're working on a short documentary about the meat trade, which basically completely came from COVID. Completely came from the way the meat industry has broken down. With it was a house of cards anyway, and this virus was the strong wind that blew the whole thing over.
Yes.
So that's pretty interesting. So yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to say hi. I can't wait to meet you guys.
Great.
Looking forward to a time when we can go to Marie Callender's again and
Yes. Yeah.
maybe actually shake hands.
That'll be great. That'll be great.
Karen, if I can get in for a second.
Sure.
I saw some of the same stuff that you did, or the lack of the same stuff that you did. And I went out the other night at 10:30 at night. I live on South Beverly Drive, just south of Pico, just south of Beverly Hills. And I stood in the middle of the street with my cell phone. And I turned very slowly 360 degrees, and there was not one car. There's a traffic light in the corner. The light changed again, the light changed again. I did a very slow 360, and I pointed toward Pico, where there were still no cars.
Right.
And it was the freest damn thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, I live near Ventura and Sepulveda, and the same thing happened to me. I went out and literally just walked against the lights.
Yes, and this is
just cross the,
yeah, and this is what people are doing when they run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. It's it's like but
in the year 2000, wasn't even widescreen. There was a short film called 405.
Yes.
About a plane that had to land on the 405 freeway, and the one oblivious driver.
Yes.
Who, they cleared the freeway, and these people who made this little video had to digitally clear out the 405.
Wow. Yeah.
They would have. You were 20 years too late to help them.
Yes.
Well, maybe someone else will do a zombie movie where they need an empty 405 and empty Santa Monica beaches, and we have it.
Exactly. You're there for the next one.
Wow, that's great. Well, 3 cheers. Thank you, Karen. Yay.
Thank you, fellas.
Great to see you. And thanks for...
It's worth looking up, by the way. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just go 405.
Yeah.
About 5 or 6
And YouTube is my favorite.
Dave, I will.
YouTube is my favorite station because there's so many amazing things on it, particularly old radio shows. There's audiobooks. There's old movies. There's live TV shows from the 50s. I mean, just phenomenal stuff that used to only be in archives that you would have to travel to, universities and so forth. Now you can it's all at a fingertip. So now let's see if there's any other questions. Elizabeth Chamberlain was talking about, I like musicals, but I wouldn't want to write one. Elaine actually has written songs that are quite wonderful, and perhaps one day we'll do a concert with Elaine singing her greatest hits, because her songs are unique and wonderful and great, and I think you all need to hear them sooner rather than later.
We're not doing a musical episode of Space Command.
No, but it could be the hit single. It could be definitely the frog song. That would be terrific. So Elaine's famous frog song, but also in terms of Rose, sorry again, Rose, for your losses. It's a terrible time in terms of that. But in terms of the Space Command convention, yeah, we're thinking about maybe a Saturday, maybe 3 or 4 weeks from now. So I'll let you guys know as soon as we do it. It'll be, as I say, live stream. Anyone in the world can join and just watch it on Mr. Sci-Fi. It'll be the new episode. It'll be the first hour episode as well. It'll be panels with our actors and our creative team, and it'll be a whole day's worth of solid entertainment. So we'll be getting into that and announcing it more very, very soon. But okay, so let's see. I guess April Adams. Yeah, April, go for it. So just sure, she's there. You go. There you go. Great. Oh, do it again. No, hold on. It's getting there.
Ooh, no.
Nope.
I still see the little red thing.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. We can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
You can turn it off, can't you?
I don't think so, because I'm not actually the moderator. Nope. That's right. I can't do it. Nope. Sorry, April. Well, we'll come back to you. Work it. Yeah. So Mark Gushowitz. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, that movie 405 that Dave's talking about, if you go online to YouTube, they'll say 2009, all that. It's actually a 20-year-old film.
Wow.
I saw it.
Wow.
In 2000. I was working at a behind-the-scenes place. It was like the rage. Everybody had to see this movie. And we know how hard it is to clear off the 405 in today's digital technology. Imagine back then how hard that would have been.
Wow. Yes.
So anyway, my name is Mark. I'm an editor. I've been pretty busy. About to finish a project. Supposed to be finished last Tuesday, but because of the clients taking their time with notes, it'll probably be finished next Tuesday. But then I'm hoping to get busy on something else that Dave Edison recommended over my direction. So hopefully he didn't recommend it to me because they're nightmare clients and he didn't want to deal with them.
They spoke to you good. Yeah, I just didn't have time, as Mark will tell you.
Yeah, well, I figured as much. Yeah, so I talked to them this morning. No deal has been made yet or anything like that, but we talked this morning. It seemed pretty positive.
That's Craig, right?
Excuse me?
Craig?
Yes. And so I'm going to continue to be busy during this time when people seem to be struggling for work. So I feel very, very lucky and very, very blessed at this moment in time. I think I've officially locked my short film.
Oh, wow, great.
In the editing room. There will be, the only thing that might have to be done is as I get the graphic effects, I may have to massage some stuff. A couple of frames here and there to fit whatever effects it is that he gives me. And there is one shot that I'm thinking about putting a cutaway in, but it'll depend on what the graphics person gives me. And we had a long 4-hour conversation on the phone about graphics effects as we went through basically, I think, 8 shots. But I'm actually really excited about that. I also talked to, I got Earl Smith from the table is doing my sound mix, and he also writes music. So we're talking about him taking over the music since I lost my music guy. And we had probably an 1.5-hour conversation yesterday. So yesterday was very productive with me at my short film. That moving forward, since I decided in the editing room, it's locked. It's time to move on because you can edit something to death.
Decided not to go with the with adding a body to the opening shot?
No, I have decided not to, and there are very specific reasons for that. I think it's mostly because of the tone I'm going for. I didn't want to open it up with that grossness. Also, I have a limited budget for graphics and also limited time for what I can do on my own. Because there are some graphics, like we're going to put a mouse in a shot, and I'm probably going to do that myself because I can. But yeah, I got to start watching my money. As I was talking to the graphics guy yesterday, I started worrying, oh my God, am I going to be able to afford this? But we'll see what happens when he comes back to me with a price. I've worked with him in the past on other projects, tried to get them involved in the table because I think that he could benefit from the table as well as I think people can benefit from what he does because he's really good. So that's kind of what's going on for me right now. I've been busy, and I'm very thankful that I've been busy.
Well, great. Congratulations. Yay.
Yeah. Oh, and then I'm also working on that other film that the director kind of decided to give me directing control in the editing room. So that's kind of coming together, too.
Okay, great. Well, congratulations.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah,
It just stays busy.
Now, I believe, April, you're unmuted.
I am. I
Yeah,
actually
okay.
was able to find the damn thing.
Okay, good.
Hi, everybody. For those I don't know already, I'm an actor and I'm also a producer, but mainly lately I've been concentrating on acting. I was just in a stage show, Uncle Vanya, that had 6 extensions and got nominated for Los Angeles Drama Critics Circle Best Ensemble Award. And I've got a small part in The Way Back with a lovely little scene opposite Ben Affleck, and that's lovely. Came out just before everything shut down, so I understand you can now access it on demand. And I am trying to re-establish my home voiceover studio. I had it all put together a few years ago, and then my husband passed away and I had to move, and one thing after another, and I now have it in pieces. And what I would really, really love is if anybody here is a wonderful, devoted, loves it, passionate sound editor who likes to work with voices as opposed to music or sound effects or whatever else. I am looking for a collaborator to pull it together and go out as partners for me to do audiobooks and whatever else drops into sight. And has the knowledge to help me put the technical pieces, the hardware and everything back together, and do the editing. And we go out as partners together. So if anybody is interested in that, you can contact me at my email is april@desertlightproductions.com. And excuse me. So I guess that's about most of what I had to say, except that Mark and Elaine, and Space Command is wonderful. And where are you? I can't find you.
Oh, well, I'm here, and Mark just had
There
to
you
walk
are.
the dogs. Yes, Mark's
Oh,
walking
he
the
had
dogs
to
around the
run.
block.
Oh,
He'll be
darn.
right
Well,
back.
pass the word
I
along
will.
that my husband worked a lot as a script supervisor, and the very favorite show that he ever did, which included everything from Avengers to stuff nobody ever heard of, was Cosmos.
Oh, wow.
And he just adored Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he actually got to introduce me to him. We went down to Comic-Con, and they were doing a promotional panel for it that year. Wow, my voiceover has just gone shot here. And he was so lovely. Greg sent a message backstage to him after the panel program, and he came running out to say hello and to meet me. And he was just a charming, delightful man. So congratulations on getting him on
Thank
your
you.
show.
And he does
That's
seem
great.
genuinely sweet. We just asked him to do on the script a radio voiceover, and he memorized it, and he did it for camera with that same panache he usually has. It was all memorized, and he was doing this thing, and he was like so lively and so much fun. It was just a lovely performance. I'm so glad. We're trying to think of a way to use it visually, because he was it's a radio show, but he was such fun. You know, he just has that incredible energy. So,
well, if you have another piece for him to do and need somebody to work with you on it, just give me a holler, will you? I'd love to work with him.
Have you put
and
the
you
word
guys.
Thank you. Have you put the word out generally to sound on the table emails for a sound person?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well.
Have you put the word out on the table email that you need a sound person?
No, I have not. Of course, that's a good idea.
Yeah, do it, because we have a lot of sound people at the table.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
thank
well,
you.
welcome.
And
Yay.
Karen, hello. I live in Sherman Oaks too.
Okay.
So,
yay.
welcome.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Carol, have we heard you yet? Carol, have we heard from you yet? Can you unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. I have something to show. David Bartlett, where are you? I don't know if you can see this. That's an Air California commercial I did, and the dog was supposed to be happy to see me if we got off the plane, and they put baby food on my neck. It's the first time I ever met the dog, and some dog is slurping on my neck. So you're not alone. I just want to tell you that. Okay, I have a couple of things. I just want you all to know how inspired I am when I come here on Thursday nights. I don't know what I'm doing with the rest of my life. It doesn't seem that droll, but you guys really inspire me. And if I can't come, I miss you. So just please know every one of you is such a major contributor to my life.
Oh, great.
Really
Thank
are.
you.
Also, would you tell hello to Angelique? I haven't seen her in weeks.
Oh yes, she's way out in Costa Mesa, but she's doing well. She's still working with us. but
please tell her hello from me. Okay, if you would tell her hello from me.
I will, certainly, yeah.
I was in a play in February. This guy saw me, and it's a Susan Blakely movie, and I'm really impressed because he wants to cast me way against type. I usually go to agents and auditions. Well, it was nice to be seen in a play, and someone say, no, come with me. So he wants to cast me way against type. So when we get rolling again, it's hysterical what he wants, but he wants to cast me. So if that goes, I'll let you know. But, you know, it only goes when it goes. Books on tape. Are there names of companies for audiobooks or books on tape where actors can send tapes to?
Is anybody doing books on tape now for actors?
Does anybody know the names of? Yeah, because I don't know how to get into any. I think it'd be fabulous. I'd love to.
You mean in terms of casting?
To be a reader, yes.
Be a reader, right?
I would just Google it. I don't know that. Yeah. I know one group that did a bunch, and they shot a bunch of short stories, and they're finished. But besides that, I don't know any others.
Okay. We'll get back to you, Carol, as soon as Mark comes back up, because he's a books on tape freak, and that's the only way he gets through his
companies, just to see how they process that, because it's a whole new area.
Well, he can't sleep without books on tape. He doesn't drive without books on tape, so he knows a lot of the books on tape sources. So. So yes, we'll get back to you as soon as he comes back up with the dogs.
Okay, because I have 3 things I want to tell him.
Sure.
That you know when the first Twilight Zone episode aired? Do you have any idea?
Oh, he would know. No, I don't know.
He would know. Okay.
He's this great repository of such information.
1959, but I can't get more specific without IMDb.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Thank you. Yeah, books on tape, and then one other thing I wanted to acknowledge him for. Should I wait till he comes back?
If you like, we can just come back to you and do a half turn until he gets back with our crazy.
Just other quick things. Yeah, when he comes on. Yeah.
Okay.
You can come back.
Okay, great. All right. Yay. Okay, I think you're up. Our composer, Akira. Hello. Can you unmute?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Hello. Okay, hi.
Okay, hello. So
Welcome.
how's it going, everybody? Anyway, so this is Akira, film composer, originally from Tokyo, Japan. I moved here 2017, the end of the 2017, and I'm a film composer, and mainly I'm working on horror film, you know. And I also, my career has begun as a jazz guitarist first. I'm still playing, and there's some, actually there is this pandemic. Actually, things is really weird, but something interesting is happening too. Because I participated in some kind of the world, kind of a music relay, like We Are the World kind of things. And one is introduced by the David Lycklin. The composer for the Space Command, right?
Uh-huh.
He's organizing some, big project, maybe he's gathering some musicians and to make some music, And I joined his project and I submitting my, guitar part and I shoot some mimicking stuff like, with iPhone on my computer, and he's now making something to get together. Maybe it will be released soon, I think, And I also participated in some other ones. It is produced by his name is Imal, and a Hungarian film composer and living in LA. And he gathered 104 musicians from the 16 countries,
Wow.
And it already released, on the YouTube or something. It's kind of also, I played just, some seconds of music, and everybody's getting together and playing some short phrases and making music. It's very, actually, pandemic is you could not meet, but you could not getting together online. It's some kind of new aspect of this world right now, So anyway, so I'm doing things like that. I'm also doing teaching Japanese online, and I'm still, hiring student, I'm still, my schedule is still available, and just I'm promoting myself as a Japanese language teacher too. Yeah, that's it so far for me. Yeah, I'm
So,
doing
excuse me,
you know,
what-
actually, you know, you have to stay home, but I'm fine. Totally fine. Thank you very much.
What instrument do you play?
I'm playing guitar and yeah, I'm playing guitar. Yeah,
Guitar,
I'm
okay,
guitarist.
great.
And my music is like you know, you can hear on my website. I will I will put the link on the message board, chatting board later. After I finish my talking. And yeah, if you like it, it's I really appreciate. And I'm also offering I am also offering my old archives to the frugal filmmakers for donation basis. And there's no prices. And if you like to use my old, actually it's not cutting and stuff because I composed some years ago. But there's more than 100 short cues in these archives, and I let the filmmakers to use on a donation basis. And yeah, if you interested in to use some cues, please it's to my archive.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
great.
That's all.
Okay. Yeah, well, welcome. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, every time I can see it's I'm happy.
Oh, great. Thanks. Thank you.
Carol, Twilight Zone premiered October 2nd, 1959. I should have remembered that. I did know the date at one time. October 2nd is, of course, Groucho Marx's birthday.
Oh, my God. Oh, okay. Well, Scott Baker.
Hello. How's everyone doing? You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Cool,
Loud and clear.
okay.
You're good.
Yeah, so for those who don't know me, writer, director, producer of Fifth Passenger, sci-fi thriller feature film with Star Trek alum. We're on Amazon Prime. We're actually they kind of changed it. So even if you don't have Amazon Prime, you can watch it. You can watch it with the ads, which I'm not super excited about because I kind of feel like having the ads on, it's like watching it on TV and it kind of breaks up the movie and ruins the experience a bit. But such as it is, that's what our distributor decided, the deal that our distributor decided to make with Amazon. Maybe we get a couple extra bucks from that or something from ad revenue. So if you want to watch Fifth Passenger, you can watch it there. It's about 5 people quarantined in an escape pod. Wasn't originally supposed to be quarantined, but now that's the word of the day. In the meantime, I'm a Steadicam operator, cinematographer, and I've got my own gear, and I've worked on tons of projects, including Space Command, and been writing. I got hired to write a couple episodes for a new Black Mirror type of show, sort of Twilight Zone, Black Mirror, Love, Death, and Robots, if you guys have seen that one. Sort of in that vein, anthology, sci-fi, dark sort of stuff. So I wrote a couple drafts. I'm waiting to hear back on those. Finished up a horror script. Just kind of been taking this opportunity that I've been sitting at home and the government's paying my unemployment to do some writing. So
wow, great.
taking advantage of that. And I've had a couple Steadicam gigs here and there throughout this. Did a job for a church, like one of these mega churches down in the OC for Easter. So instead of having hundreds of people show up for the service, they just had a super small bare bones crew, and they recorded the service with the band and all that kind of stuff, so people could stream it and watch it. So, but most other than that, just like everybody knows, production's pretty much stopped. So. I did another episode of my Star Trek fan film animes that I've been doing. So if you're a fan of Star Trek, and they're kind of the episodes are geared towards the Star Trek fan base, really. They're kind of meta and sort of making fun of the Star Trek fans and the inside jokes of Star Trek and stuff like that. So they're on YouTube, or you can go to the website. I can put it in the link there. It's called astartrekfanfilm.com. And so the first one I did was several years ago kind of making fun of the fan film rules, and that one was called Cease and Desist, and this new one I made is just called Quarantine, and this one stars the Next Generation crew, and they are they're quarantined from the new holodeck update called Discovery. And so it's kind of making fun of the fans' backlash to the new Discovery show and the new the new Picard show and the new J.J. Abrams movies and stuff like that. So it's all it's parody, lampooning, having fun with that. A lot of the if people know about Star Trek fans are super serious. They take everything so serious, and so it's fun to have a little laugh with them about that kind of stuff. And then another tabler, Larry Longstreth, he's doing a show called Vulgar Fantastico, and I've been his DP for that. We've shot 2 episodes, and we're going to be shooting another one this weekend. And that one's kind of the story of this kind of crazy guy who's been quarantined home, and it becomes this sort of sketch show sort of thing. And so that's on YouTube. You can check it out. It's called Vulgar Fantastico. He's got it's funny and weird and kind of Monty Python at times and other weird stuff. So so what else? I had an idea for a documentary. So I'm kind of putting some feelers out for anybody who's had success in producing a documentary. Because to do what I'd want to do, I'd want to meet and probably partner up with somebody. I can produce as far as the logistics and producing something. It would just be having somebody on board the projects who's already had a successful documentary. That way, when it's done, then it has the sort of, one, for raising money, and then 2, when it's done, it has the sort of credibility of working with somebody else who has a successful documentary. So
I can hook you up with that.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, I'll reach out to you and we'll see about that. So
cool.
And then I think if there's anything else, that's just about everything.
Cool.
So
great. Well, 3 cheers! Yay!
Good to see you, Mark.
I was walking the dogs. Good to see you too, Scott.
Oh yeah. All right. Take care, guys.
Is that me?
Yeah, that would be weird, right?
Yeah, that's weird. No, it's not. So okay.
Okay, now Carol.
There's a question from Mr. Sci-Fi. So hi guys, I'm back. I was walking the dogs. Who appear in Space Command. They're now Space Command cast members. And Dave, at some point we really should post that scene on Mr. Sci-Fi. So I think that would be and maybe at the end of this evening we'll show it to the table members. So it's definitely worth sharing. So someone's asking my thought about Tarantino during a Star Trek movie. Sure, I mean, let him. I think he's a very interesting filmmaker. It certainly will not be Gene Roddenberry's vision, but it's certainly, why not? Why not? I wouldn't mind seeing him do whatever he wants to do. So going back, so who's next?
Carol
Field. Yeah,
well, she did part of a turn, but a small part. But there were several questions just for you.
Sure, go for it, Carol.
A quick question and a quick comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know offhand the main companies that do audiobooks or books on tape?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
She wants to be a speaker.
I'd love to be a reader.
Let's see. Blackstone Audio. If you go on Audible, which is an Amazon company, you can see all the different companies who do audio books, and you can, submit to them. Catherine McEwen, who's in Space Command, is working as a reader of books. It's tiring, definitely, because it's long days, but it's, if it's to your liking, it's definitely something where you can earn some money.
Yeah, I'd love to. Okay, so on Audible,
sure.
I'll have this.
Yeah, you can check it out.
Great. I also want to thank you for something.
Sure, you bet.
Judy Reyes is.
No.
Judy Reyes. She was in. Her main thing was Scrubs and a bunch of other things.
Great.
And I was walking down the street the other day, and I said, "God, Judy would be great for my book, my book." And I know her, and she knows me. I don't know. And then I heard your voice say, "Just reach out and go attach these things."
Right.
And I zoomed inside, I called her agent in New York. I said, I know
Right.
Judy. Judy knows me. She'd be perfect for this. She's not doing anything right now. Clause just went off the air. Can
That's
I send her my book? And he
Great.
went, well, yeah, sure, of course.
That's
wow,
great.
that's
Congratulations.
So
3
I
cheers.
sent it, thanks, and thank you very much.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Yay.
Yeah.
Good job, Carol. That's great. Well, thanks. So, okay, so who has
Shy.
another turn? Shy. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. You're up. Shy Bill Green.
Sorry, I have like a small case of shingles actually on my face.
Oh dear.
So I was actually trying not to scratch it. I wasn't raising my hand.
Ah, okay. That's fine.
So yeah, no, I'm just exhausted right now, but I guess my only real question right this second
Sure.
is, and Dave, this might include you in this question. I'm trying to deal with right now because I had a co-director in the first season, in which worked out really great because he has a lot of good input and he's been in the business for a long time. We had a little bit of different ideas of where the show should kind of go. And the thing is, because I created it, I wrote it, and I have a certain like vision of how I want it. But the thing is, he really is very smart. And certain shots that he actually was like, we do need to get this shot. If we wouldn't have had that shot, like the editing would have been even probably more severe, more like much harder. So it was good that he was co-directing. Now my main concern though is the editing, because I want the editing to be as smooth as possible. And in a TV show, I know the showrunner is usually the only one that really has to be in the editing room, and directors don't necessarily have to be in the editing room.
Well,
And
the answer to your question about that is, in television, the directors get their cut, then the showrunner does his or her cut. Okay, and the network has input into all of that. So that's really how it works. But what do you need?
well, I guess because they don't put out 2 cuts of a television show.
No, the showrunner is in charge. So they have their
Right.
Yeah, but it's just in a DGA signatory TV show, the director is it's a requirement that he have his first crack at it. Usually he's given about a week to do his take. While they're shooting, the editor is making an assemblage so that when the director finishes the episode, he can immediately take a week to put together his cut. So, but that has no relevance to any project that isn't DGA signatory.
Okay, because I guess my thing is, I've made like the shot list, I've done everything, and I'm wondering if I should just direct the whole thing myself.
Yeah, sure.
In which I think it's going to be very difficult because we're doing it quarantine, and if he's doing a scene with someone else, I feel like I can't really be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's almost back to season 1 where we would co-direct again. And I feel like in the editing room, it's the first time around I had 2 editors. The first editor said, no, he can't come. I'm only editing for you, and that's it. I will not edit for 2 people. Because it's going to take forever, and
Yeah.
I don't want to run into that same issue again.
Right. So what actually do you want?
Well, I just want it to. I want the edit to be the most simple thing, and
Right.
I want to be just my cut of the edit, and that's it. I'll
Sure.
take his input, but
Right.
I don't want him to have an hour conversation with Dave,
Right.
and then me to have an hour conversation with Dave,
Right.
and it to be different.
Well, write down on one page the specifics of what you want, and then with those people you're working with, you say, this is how it's going to go. That's it. I mean, it's the person who has power is the person who has power, and the moment you give away power, you give away everything. But if you keep power, then you also have responsibility. Like for instance, with Space Command, it's our show. So good, bad, or indifferent, it's ultimately our call, but we have to back that up with, working hard on it. And but that's fine. In terms of, you can't direct because there's a pandemic going on. That's actually not true, because even just having a camera set up, like a FaceTime or whatever, where you can watch them do the run through, or you can watch them shoot the takes, and then you can give them adjustment. I mean, we're active. Someone asked me yesterday, well, is there no director on this new episode of Space Can? No, I mean, Elaine and I are directing it, but because we're giving adjustments to our actors, we're having them send in variations, we're doing all sorts of stuff. So one just has to be inventive. But if you feel this director brings an artistic thing to it, then you just have to be clear what the deal is. You have to agree before you get too far down the road. And so, and because again, it's always, a lot of people get hung up on things because they're not being specific about what they want and saying, this is what I insist on, and really meaning it. And and so, you can have it however you want it, if you just say, this is, I mean, assuming you have the power, assuming I mean, whoever is the owner of this property, that's,
right. Like, I'm the owner of the property.
Well, good.
I just feel like, I wouldn't mind sharing the director situation.
Sure.
If it's not such a nightmare in the end process.
Well, what's going to work is specificity up front. You type up what you want, you send it to the other guy, the other director, and you say, this is how it's got to be. Are you okay with that? And if he says no, then you say, okay, well, let's talk about this until we're both comfortable, or until you leave, And because again, anytime you have a bottom line, you have to be willing to have the other person bail, because power requires drawing a line, and that's just how it is. And but you come to these agreements before you do the work, before you get down the road, because otherwise you're screwed. And so that's why you want to do it now.
What was the process the last time that made it into a nightmare?
Well, he's an overthinker, and he's one that will edit it multiple, like edit it to death.
Yeah, I can't imagine someone who wants always to revise things and revise things.
He'll keep it in the edit room for years.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, no, again, just be specific, just be clear. And if he doesn't want to do it, then you say, okay, we're done here. I mean,
are you contractually obligated to have him as a co-director?
No, I'm not. And ultimately, if we weren't in this quarantine situation, I would have found a director that was not me and was not him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But nothing says you can't do that. I mean, again, remember, we're not cut off from the world. We really aren't. And anything that you could do in person, you can actually do using these new technologies. I mean, again, if you see it, again, it gets back to what do you want and how do you get it? It's really a simple equation, but most people don't go to either of those questions, and you have to go to both. I mean, if your preference is that someone directs it other than you and him, then reach out to directors, find someone who's on your wavelength, say, okay, look, let's have you direct one scene to see if we're on the same page. And then you have them direct a scene. And if you like it, you move forward. And if you don't like it, you ditch it.
Well, I mean, before we got a director, which wasn't us, a while back.
A long time ago.
But we sat down with quite a few directors and said, without giving them any hints, I said, how do you see the movie?
Yes.
How do you see this movie? And that ended us up with a very young director rather than an very more experienced director, because he saw the same movie we saw. And so we were very happy. But
again,
but a lot of it has to do beforehand. We pre-screened and said, how do you see this movie?
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think ultimately it'll be a bit difficult, because in the scenes we're on like Zoom, and then we're on our phones filming each other. So I don't know how the director could see into those scenes.
If someone has a laptop, you can use that camera as well. It's sort of like you just have to be open to solution rather than staying mired in the problem. Because mired in the problem, you're powerless. Coming up with solution, you're in action that keeps power. I mean, it's really simple. And because again, film and television are an endlessly refinable art form. It's not like you're carving something out of a block of marble. There's a million ways to change things, reshoot, make adjustments, and you just have to be open to that process.
And if you want this fellow's input, you could always say, I want to work with you, but I don't want to work with endlessly rethinking the edit.
Yeah.
So if I were to give you a first pass edit and give you
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to accept that, or would that make it a no deal? So give him a reasonable amount of time and say, if you will take that and then whatever happens, then I'd love to work with you. And if you can't take that kind of limitation, then we can't do it because I don't want you to be unhappy.
And also, if your concern is about doing enough cutaways and enough reaction shots or B-roll, it's not that kind of show this time because of the limitations of the cell phones and tablets and whatever you're shooting on. It's going to be a little simpler, which is why, for example, going back to the Space Command episode we're doing right now, we've been able to slap this thing together willy-nilly and then some in about a month so far with over an hour of material, because the shots are, for the most part, pretty straightforward. It comes out of the cell phone.
Yes.
Right.
So, anything else?
Billy, do you have anything?
No?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yay. So with Mr. Sci-Fi,
feel better, Shai.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And with Mr. Sci-Fi, people are being very complimentary, so thanks. And as I said, we're going to be posting a lot of videos over the next few days, and including the David Bartlett immortal Space Command scene with our dogs, and which is a keeper. And absolutely, we're going to have an 8x10 glossy made of that for David to sign and our dogs to sign. So this is definitely something that will be a prime.
That's good timing, Mark, because we're running out of headshots to send to people.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great one. So, okay, so who hasn't had a turn, Elaine? Is it Hank Grover or whom?
Well, Mike. Has Mike gone?
Yeah, Mike went. Hank, are you there? If you're there, we can unmute.
Yeah, I just unmuted. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Excellent. I am primarily a line producer. Worked as assistant director as well. Probably on about 60 features at this point in TV movies. The last movie I did was kind of interesting. It was a cowboy vampire movie. And, we shot in the desert in the middle of the night in the winter. So that was a little chilly, but we made it work.
Great.
It was fine.
Cool.
Let's see. I am waiting to see what happens next.
Indeed.
I'm thinking of doing a little voiceover work. I've done some in the past. I'm thinking of trying that again. Let's see. That's about it for me, I guess.
Great. Well, cheers.
Hey, well,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Hank.
I'm sorry. I did want to say I'm glad that we were able to host Mike Schusko.
Yes.
Mike was a fellow veteran, and we communicated through veterans and media and entertainment, and I'm glad we were able to bring him in tonight.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks, Hank. And has Akira had his turn? Akira had your turn. Bob Thomas, did Bob Thomas go?
No.
Bob Thomas, do you want to take your turn if you're listening still? If you're there, you can
Bob,
unmute.
are you there?
Nope. Okay, so I think everyone's had their turn, I believe, except for you, Elaine, and me. Let's go for it. You,
okay.
Elaine.
Yay. All right. Keeping very, very busy between the ripple effect, and I have been helping
Massimiliano Trevis,
who is my DP, who has done me endless favors. And so he asked for a favor to look over his pilot, which is a gangster thing. He comes from Sicily.
So that's where the mafia really is.
Yeah, I mean, he knew those
So he knows
guys.
those guys.
He knows those guys. He wants to write about those guys.
Yeah.
And it's like a very odd fit for me, except I came on board. And so that's what I was doing. I was helping with some character beats and some of the structure. So that was fun. Just the last 3 days have been killer because we needed to create a script that would be appropriate for certain actors that he was trying to get into. And I did work super fast.
Yes.
And it kind of bled over this. that's always fun. It's always fun to go places that you never thought you would go. And then there's the ripple effect. So that's about it. I mean, just keeping incredibly busy. And
Great.
I feel extremely lucky to be keeping incredibly busy, because I'm sure if I wasn't incredibly busy, I would be going stark raving mad.
Yes.
So,
that's
me.
yay,
Yes,
and 3 shares. And so then me, wonderful me. It's great to have my own YouTube channel. I love it. I recommend it to everyone. If you have something you want to talk about, something you're an expert on, start your own YouTube channel. It's free and easy. Meantime, of course, Ripple Effect is coming out great. Dave is doing an amazing job, and it's great to have David Bartlett aboard and the rest of our team. We're going to have music, sound mix, all that stuff. And but it's a very unusual episode, but fun, super fun. And I love working with all the people we're working with. And meantime, I'm also writing Sweet Haven. I'm also writing the new book, Greenlighting Yourself, which is overdue, and my publisher is waiting for it. And I have my shirt from Prometheus, which is very cool, and it was used in the movie, and that's very exciting. And beyond that, it's just every day is filled with joy, and I get footage from our actors in Atlanta and Canada and England and upstate New York and here, and it's just great. So dogs, and so I think what we'll do is, I don't need anything right now other than all your good wishes and all the help you've been giving me. And we have to raise more money for Space Command to keep it going. So we're going to do another crowdfunding campaign, and I'm still selling shares at $7,500 each, and so on and so forth. So, but I think, Dave, is it possible to run the David Bartlett scene and I can set it up? Okay. So for those of you who are on Mr. Sci-Fi, I'll post it shortly. And for those who are on the table, you'll be able to watch this. Let me set it up. In the pilot, Bill Mummy from Lost in Space and Babylon 5 and Twilight Zone, he plays Greg Mazzy, who's a genius inventor, and he invents a line of synthetic human beings who become a workforce, and that includes Dornevan, who is his first creature, his first synthetic, and that's played by Doug Jones. And David Bartlett had a role in that sort of TED Talk where he asks a question from the audience, and he played a character named Forey Hubbard. And so David had an idea, because every time he comes to our house, the dogs just go crazy. They love him. They can't stop licking him, and he loves them. So we thought, well, okay, this is a great idea. So the notion is that this kid, it's that same character who was at that TED Talk, and he was convinced to buy synthetic dogs instead of real ones, and he's tried complaining to the company, and no, he's not getting satisfaction. So he's trying to complain to the head of the company, Greg Mazzy. So this is the scene. So
You blew the punchline.
I know, but go ahead.
Why'd you
Go
do
for
that?
it. Well,
You shouldn't
no,
have.
go, because I want people to understand what the scene was.
Okay.
But go ahead, run it. If you can. Let's see if this works. How's it going, Dave? Can you do it? Can you get it? Okay. Just trying to get it to work. Okay, there we go. Okay. Oh, we're not hearing it, Dave. It's not working. So let's do this. I'll post it on Mr. Sci-Fi. So anyone who wants to see it on Mr. Sci-Fi, you have to unmute, Dave. I can't hear you. Okay. Let's see.
I like this version.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's the 8x10 you'll be signing. Well, let's, since you can't get it going, if you
got it.
You got it? Okay, we'll take it back, and here we go.
We'll try.
Give it a
Can you
try.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear that?
Yeah. Yes.
I address myself to Greg Mazzy of the Mazzy Facility Corporation. Having been at your first presentation about the synthetics, where you made a case that they were so much better than the real stuff, humans and other things alike, boy was I convinced. Only then, the human contingent whipped off with Dornevan, leaving all the other gizmos behind, which is what this is about. I don't know how to turn them off. I don't even know how to turn them down. I have been called your complaints department, and again, you have put me on hold, and I have yet to talk to a single living person, which I suppose is ironic. But the point is, I was taken in by your sales pitch, lock, stock, and barrel. And of course, the warranty is just run out. So I need help with this.
Yeah, that's really fun. That's really fun. So great. So and I'll post that on Mr. Sci-Fi. So so that's great. Well, thank you all. So I think we've come to the end of our meeting, and we'll see you next time. And
Thanks for
thank you to
joining
the
us.
Mr. Sci-Fi people, and we will talk very soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
And bye, Mr. Sci-Fi fans. Yay. Thank you so much.